Well, except for Emmys, Grammys, Academy Award nominations, the Quest record label with things like We Are the World and Thriller, Quincy Jones has not been up to much lately, I guess.
That's right.
What's new, as if I didn't know?
The Color Purple.
Yes. How important was this project to you?
Well, I spent every day of my life on it for 2 years, starting October '83 until yesterday. Well, yesterday nothing, I'm still...
And to invest that much time in it indicates that you wanted this thing in
You
the
love
way.
it. You have to love it, yes. And
Why?
It's not about box office. It's not about any of that. It's about a lot of things. It's about doing something that you just see some great people do because they really love it. Like Steven Spielberg did this because he loved it. The cast were just involved because they wanted to make this a beautiful film as Alice did the book.
Mm-hmm. I understand that your own interest in this also helped get Spielberg onto the project in the first place. Would you explain?
Well, if passion would do it, that's what did it all, because there was never any second choice, and I've known Steven a long time, and we've interned each other through our friendship. You know, he on E.T., and he came to see Thriller, and we did the Michael Jackson storybook on E.T., and I know him pretty well, and I love him, and I respect him so much, and I know that
Any one thing that you did, though, to get him finally to say
No, I
let's do it?
think the book would have to do it, you know, the book would have to do it. That's nothing anybody can take responsibility for. The book is itself, because he's in a position where he can do anything he wants, you know, and it's not about money or availability. He could do anything he wanted. The book, we were just fortunate that the book, he probably had trepidations about it because it's his first time with a dramatic picture with no special effects, you know, and with, about relationships, etc. I'm sure inside he's always wanted to do that, and we may have just helped him get over the hump.
Those wonderful lyric blends of music and image, especially in the fields full of purple. Did you see those passages before you scored the film? What was the chronology there? Did you see it before you had the music, or how did it work?
Well, it worked both ways, because we did a lot of work. We did a lot of work before we shot the film, and that was the fun part about being in on the juicy part of it. Because Steven has got good ears musically, and he's a closet composer, you know, and I guess I'm a closet director. And so when we got together, we just had a ball talking about where and how music could fit into the picture. Mm-hmm. Because Alice's book was so full of vivid imagery about music, and she really got into the period of the prototypes of Bessie Smith or Ma Rainey or whatever.
Let's follow that up. You've said that Color Purple, certainly the film, is as much a history of black musical expression as it is living
drama
itself. And being from Kansas City, we have to be interested in jazz. What about that Kansas City sound, about jazz generally as it's seen in the film? Any comments across the board here?
Well, you know, listen, as far as about Kansas City always immediately, what comes to mind is that the most influential figures in jazz have always been saxophone players. And you're talking about a place that had Lester Young and Charlie Parker. And we don't have to say anymore. I mean, that's probably 90% of the influence of jazz, you know, in terms of the saxophone influences.
And that becomes an essentially urban expression, doesn't it?
Yes. Somewhat, yes. Mm-hmm. It eventually did with Lester Young, for sure, and Charlie Parker, too. But it's amazing that sophisticated a sound comes from Kansas City. Because Charlie Parker, there's nobody more sophisticated than Charlie Parker.
Because the history of black jazz, I guess, is a special research topic for you, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Tell us about that.
Well, it's a very big topic, you know. It's a.
I mean, is this going to be a book?
It's just going to be. It's going to be probably the most extensive thing I've ever done. When I get into it, it'll be a piece for orchestra. It'll be film. It'll be everything.
I guess we're surprised something like this hasn't been done before.
I know.
Are you?
Yes, I am. Because, well, that's what bothered me, that there was no way to find out. And I eventually got into it to find out what the connection between Africa and black music in America was about. And then I ended up going back to 479 AD and tracing everything through Brazil and the West Indies, and
the cross-cutting of the African music,
Protestants versus the Catholics and all of that, you know, and taking the drums away in 1692 and all that, and it just fascinated me. It fascinated me how they had to interpret the beat from Africa, and it produced a hybrid new music that became only American black music, you know, that the Africans didn't even understand, but it came from Africa, though.
So you and Stephen must have worked especially closely on that cross-cutting
yes.
sequence,
Oh,
Africa
yeah.
and Georgia, back and
he-
forth.
He's so musical. He is so musical, it's incredible. And Menno Mayes was a very musical person, too, and just the collaboration has just been, but Alice basically in the book, though, the book was designed, she had music all running all through the book, you know, so it was, we were really dealing with organic themes, you know.
I'd like to touch one more base before we're done. You've had some brushes with death, and they have left you newly inspired. You've talked about this several times. I'd like you to talk to maybe those people out there who have also had a problem with a hospital, a stroke of some kind. You can tell them to keep going, can't you?
It's a good reminder to live each day like it's your last time you're going to live.
Simple as that.
It is that simple. And
Quincy
don't
Jones.
take tomorrow for granted.
He doesn't take it for granted, and I don't want you to take Color Purple for granted either. And from New York City with Quincy, for KCTV5, I'm John Tibbetts.